Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial on object-oriented programming in Java. In the last few tutorials we talked about the concept of constructor, how it is used to create a new instance, and then we also talked about the constructor overloading. In today's tutorial we are going to talk about constructor chaining. So the constructor chaining is a process that where we call one constructor from another constructor regarding the same object. Okay, that means as long as they refer to the same object and one constructor is calling another constructor, that is an example of a constructor chaining. So in this case, let's say we have a constructor called box, and this is a default constructor, and let's say we have another constructor box with two parameters. Now if this constructor is calling this one, okay, suppose this one, then this is going to be a constructor chaining. How does it work? We are going to create a new instance with this constructor with parameter, and then that invokes another constructor of the same object, same box object, and in this regard let's say we are just calling the default constructor. Now let's try to get a practical example. I am going to create a box like this. This is not a very perfect drawing, but I think it should serve our purpose. And then let's say this is the width and this is the length and this is the height. So I would like to get area and get volume of this rectangular prism. Okay, so in order to get the volume we need to get the multiplication of length times width times height. Okay, but see, if I have these dimensions are in such a way that the length equals width, in that case I can just pass on either length or width. If I can pass just these two, if I can just pass only one of these two, that will give me the value for both the length and the width, and of course I need to have my height. So let's say if I am going to pass the length and height, then the question is, how can I set the value for width, right? Because if I just pass on length and height, how I'm going to set the value of the width? And here comes the constructor chaining. So we'd like to have a constructor that is going to get only the width. So here is the thing, we need to have a constructor which is going to get only the width, and another constructor which is going to have the length and height. And when we are creating the new object, we are calling first this one, so we get a box object, okay, with length equals, let's say 5, and height equals, let's say 10. Okay, and then we are going to invoke this one. Okay, so in that case the value of the W will be set as 5, and we get our new instance over here in the heap area, in our heap area. Okay, so now let's go to the coding. So here you can see that I have defined 3 instance variables, and that represent the length, width, and height. And then I have defined a box constructor which is going to have only the length, and then I have another constructor which is going to have the width and height. And then you can see that I have invoked the constructor of this object, which is taking just only one parameter. So in this case, this one is doing what? This one is calling this one. So let's say like when you press on control and then click, and then it's automatically going over there. So that means what? That means we are invoking the single parameter constructor over here, and this is called the constructor chaining. And then I have just 2 instance methods, which is one is returning the area and the other one is returning the volume. And then look here that I have created just only one instance, okay, that b1 equals new box, and then I'm calling this parameter. Okay, so when I click here, it goes over here. So I'm calling this constructor. So this constructor, whenever I'm passing on the width and height, and then this one is being invoked, and then immediately I get the value of length set up, and then I get the value of W and H set up with these values. And then when I'm making a system out println with the b1.getArea and b1.getVolume, then let's see what happens. Run as, and then you can see that I have got the numbers 4 and 12, and these are the expected number that I was expecting. Okay, and always remember that, again, to conclude, that constructor chaining is a process in Java where we call one constructor from another constructor. So we are calling this constructor from this constructor, and we have to use the keyword this, which is going to be always referring to the same object. So that's all for today. Thank you.